has to be actual stone. It can't be cobblestone.
Chat.
Howdy.
It's your favorite AI nonprofit. What?
It's working on our end.
Ah. Let me in. Let me in. I can't open the door.
Why can't you open the door?
Because I was being murdered. Ah. You guys suck. Bob's saying that he can't
Bob
talk
is saying
and that he wishes he
every
could,
swear word.
and he loves you all so much. And also, he thinks Eric should have let me in the building because now my respawn point is forever far away.
Why is your respawn point so far away? We have beds in the house.
Because I was adventuring and I just spent all that time coming back and I died on our doorstep because no one would let me in.
Hello?
Hi, chat. Can you hear Bob?
Can you hear me now, chat? Is that
Hear his
working?
beautiful
Okay, I think you
voice.
can hear me now.
Popsicle.
It's fine. Yeah, we're here. Everything's
testing.
working. Great.
Testicle?
I love it. That was a whole
Thanks,
new
Eric.
special kind of problem, chat.
Learned that one in high school.
Oh, good.
Okay, it's working now. Everything's fine,
Hi.
and it's been fine, and nothing bad happened.
Why does
So,
the sign
you
say
might
real
not-
good house? Ah.
So you might not know because we're being so ridiculous, but we have a distinguished guest with us here today.
Uh-huh.
An extinguished guest.
Spider.
What are okay?
She's just so
There's
excited.
a
to talk about the
video
kids.
game happening, chat. You haven't even seen it yet. There you go.
No, Mandy's just crazy. It's okay.
That's true.
It is true. It is true, Kat. You know what? I'll own
missed
it.
the
But
goal.
but our guest today is David Bell, which is Eric and Mai's dad. But he's a music educator, has been his whole career, and is now a member of the Real Good AI board to help us on things relating to that.
Mhm.
Welcome,
Howdy.
David, my dad.
Yes. Hello,
I
hello,
don't know if I
David.
could just.
It's
hello,
good to
David.
see you, David. It's
Too
good and
funny.
normal to see you like this.
Yes. Abby normal. How are you?
Good, except being killed by zombies. So, if you have questions for him, chat, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll commence with the chatting. But first, before we do that, I do want to mention something that's very exciting that happened today, chat. Have you seen it yet? Have you
Another
been to-
meteor hit Ohio.
Oh God, really?
Or no.
Oh.
What was your thing? My thing's a joke.
My thing was, if you go to the website, you can see that we've launched a merch site for Real Good AI, and so everything you buy there will earn some money for Real Good AI, and we appreciate that. But you get something for your donation, so we really appreciate it. Product, not a donation. Gotta be serious here. We're doing serious stuff, but we really appreciate it, and I think they're cool. I think they're fun, but let us know, and hopefully enjoy some. Hopefully someone can put that in chat.
I maybe did. It's working as intended. Hey, chatbot. I spent a long time setting you up. Could you please?
Yeah, you typed the word merch into chat.
Yeah, that's supposed to work. That's not an accident. That's supposed to
I
work.
think you missed the exclamation point.
No, you don't need that because I set it up to have keywords so that if anyone says merch or store or shop or shirt or sticker, it's supposed to just work. Is it working? Bots, is it working?
Doesn't
What are we
look
doing here,
like it.
bots?
Oh, thank God it's daytime. I may actually make it back now.
Yeah, someone slept. I think it was dead.
I did.
Good job.
I sleep a lot.
Hey, there it is.
Hey,
if-
thank you. So there's some cool shirts, there's hoodies, there's pants, there's a notebook for
Oh,
ideas.
hi, Super
There's
Creepers. Jesus.
a mouse pad, there's mug, there's lots of cool stuff. Oh, there's stickers of all the real rating systems, so you can go rate things in the wild if you want.
Oof,
Jokily, if you so desire.
I don't know what I just hit, but it makes me sad. It's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry you're sad.
I don't even know what did I just click on? All right. We're back in the world where everything breaks in new and exciting ways every time I touch it, and I'm trying not to have a mental breakdown, but I'm gonna start yelling.
Okay, don't. We should start our interview now because
Talk to each other.
So
Do things.
So, Mr.
So-
Bell.
Oh, stop. So I'm a teacher. I taught for 41 years. Most of it was at the high school level. 6 of it was at the collegiate level as well. Taught at Miami University at the collegiate level. And at the high school level, mostly in the Cincinnati area, predominantly in that were of mixed ethnicity students, which I loved because I teach choirs, and it gave me a lot of different how do I put this? A lot of different backgrounds to draw upon in my classroom. So, in case you haven't figured it out already, I love the overlap of cultures. I love the overlap of well, there's a term for it. It's called ecotones, which I've always borrowed from biology. It's the overlap of sorry. It's the in between spaces where biosystems overlap, which is frequently the most biodiverse areas. And if you look at the world in general, whether you're talking about the musical world, think about artists like Santana, who blend together rock, jazz, and Latin influences, or the culinary world where like molecular gastronomy, where they blend together science and cooking, etc. Or maybe the most obvious is architecture, where they blend together science and art. Or even Einstein, where he crossed disciplines and blended together art, musical concepts with scientific concepts. You know, those tend to be fringe thinkers, who are the people who oftentimes push the boundaries, but yet are the people that make the biggest breakthroughs. That's the area where I've tried to live my life, is on the edges. and I think that's where there's the greatest need for people, that the not the people who live in pure disciplines, but the people who function as translators between disciplines, and uh, that's where I've enjoyed spending a lot of my academic life, as a translator. When I was at the high school level, I loved reading research and the kind of stuff that the collegiate system had to offer. When I was at the collegiate level, I loved bringing to the collegiate level the realities of the classroom and helping out there as well. So I found myself living in the cracks, and that's one of the things that I love to do. So that's just kind of the beginnings of where I am professionally and personally as an academician. So
That's awesome. I also enjoy those things too. Obviously, the
Of
intersection
course.
of science and art is my big passion. Just because it's getting mentioned a lot in chat, everyone calm down. We are not AI. What we are is Real Good AI, which is a nonprofit organization that was started by myself, a PhD in statistics, and co-founded by Markiplier. You may have heard of him. And the idea is that there's lots of problems with current AI, and so we're going to use science and everything in our toolkit to try and ease some of that, particularly as it relates to art and things. And so we do these interviews. We get professionals who are very qualified to talk about them in the field. So everyone calm down. We're not AI.
That's a
As
great
matter of
point,
fact,
Mandy. I love the way you
Yeah.
said that.
Thank you, Bob.
Let's break it down.
M dash.
Well-
Okay.
I guess to me, one of the things that I like to think about is that AI apps, for instance, are very much like translator apps. You know, there's a lot of times where translator apps can go awry. You know, they've been used. I know Jimmy Fallon does a bit where he uses translator apps where he translates song titles, and they're hardly recognizable. And hasn't Distractable done a bit where they've done translations?
Mandy and I did
Wasn't
that on some charity
distractable. It was
streams
actually
previously.
it was me
Oh,
doing
okay.
it on charity streams.
We did it
Okay.
like we took Christmas
It was like Christmas songs.
classics and
Yeah.
translated them between languages until they were unrecognizable.
Recognizable.
But yeah,
Yeah, I knew I had seen that someplace. So you know, it can be humorous, the results that they produce sometimes. Just they can go awry easily, but there are also times where it can be useful as well. But you have to be skeptical all the time about the results that they produce. So, you know, I think the same thing is true about AI. They can be useful in some situations, but you also have to be on your toes and be skeptical about the results that they produce at all times, I think.
I think that's absolutely true. And just to add on to that a little bit, what is kind of difficult is like the translating, like maybe it's hard for you to check because you obviously don't know the other language, right? Like that's the whole reason you're using the app. So it can be challenging to check. But what's challenging to check about AI output is that it seems plausible because it learns what a plausible answer looks like to whatever it is being asked, right? In general. So the mistakes are not like glaringly obvious. They're not like mistakes like a human. Like if a human didn't know the answer to a question, they'd be like, oh, I don't know, or like some vague answer or whatever. An AI will come out and write and tell you like this the answer and it's directly like this. So it is really hard to pick. So just to echo what you're saying, it is very important to like recheck the answers, but it can be useful.
That
Yeah,
and also,
well-
I will say the translation problem is exactly the ecosystem in which the transformer was developed. The transformer being the neural network structure that's at the center of large language models. That
Like
literally
ChatGPT and stuff.
Yeah, that when it was first created, there used to be two arms to the network. One was the encoder arm that encoded the language of the source that you were trying to translate, and a decoder arm, which was supposed to take care of the language you're trying to translate into. So its intellectual origins are literally that translation problem.
I was going to add too that often the context of using a translator, not always, but often, is that the output you get, whatever other language that you don't speak, is then you're putting that in front of someone because you're traveling, or someone who speaks the language, who's reading your whatever translated bit of text or whatever. There's no equivalent for that. It would be like if you were trying to use ChatGPT or Claude or something to help you code, but then whatever it gave you, you got to give that to a seasoned veteran software engineer or whatever kind of thing you're working on, and be like, hey, is this right? And they could look at it and be like, no, that's not right. You don't. It's not always true for translators, but I have often used translator apps when I'm like traveling, and you're like, well, I don't speak French, but I really need to pee, so.
WC.
Ich muss ein Pay nehmen. Ein Pay. I don't think that's what that means in German. They'd get it.
So tell us a little bit more about being in the classroom with high school kids and what technology has been like over your career, and and how that relates to technology changes happening now. Big question.
Well, honestly, being in the classroom for 41 years, I was there for the entire arc of technology from the get-go. So I started teaching in the 70s. So my first computer was a pocket-sized Timex Sinclair that I bought in the early 1980s that I used to write simple programs like averaging grades at the end of a semester. And it was kind of fun, but it was
How big was it?
Very time intensive. It was actually smaller than a cell phone.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was really difficult to use, and I didn't have it for very long. Then I bought a Commodore.
Nice.
Which expanded things and made it easier to work with, so I could play games as well as handle school-related tasks. So I probably played games more than I did averaging grades with it at the end of the semester. But it was fun, and it taught me a lot about basic programming in its language, and I don't know enough about computer languages to tell you what language, and my memory is foggy enough that I can't tell you what language I was programming in to tell you what I was programming in at that point. But it made the end of the semester go by quicker in terms of averaging students' grades. That's for sure. Not long after that, I got one of the original 1984 Macintosh models,
Nice.
which was kind of fun. Then, looking at school use of technology, in the late 80s, is this something is there enough interest in the audience to hear about what was happening in schools?
I don't care. I want to hear about it.
Technology. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Screw you, chat. We're here to learn.
We're not here for you. We're here for our own edification.
in the late 80s, there really wasn't enough equipment, and funding in the schools was almost non-existent for technology. So technology in schools wasn't a thing in the late 80s. It really didn't start to happen until the 90s, when funding started to appear, but that funding was almost entirely directed towards subjects that were tied to state testing. Like in Ohio, the state testing was math, reading, writing, science, and social studies. You're probably going to ask why social studies got thrown in there. Well, that was self-serving in terms of politicians. The other part was reading, writing, and arithmetic, and the other one was obviously the STEM part of science. But then the politicians decided, well, goodness, we need social studies so we have an informed electorate, so they threw in social studies as well. So, but at the same time, a lot of teachers lacked hands-on experience with computers, so unfortunately there wasn't very a lot of engaging resources. So between the teachers not being very imaginative about it and a lack of imaginative resources, it was problematic in the classroom, I think. So computers were basically being used, from my perspective, like high-tech pencils. They were used for tracking skills, measuring speed and accuracy, but not really transforming learning.
Do you think that's because people hadn't yet figured out fully the power that they had, or was it just like a lagging in the teachers' failure that they were just being forced to do it, so they did it?
Well, it was a combination of things. It was a combination of the fact that the technology wasn't ripe yet, and the teachers didn't have enough hands-on experience yet. So it was a combination of those two things. And you also have to have people who are forward-looking thinkers in those positions as well. I had somebody who I worked with who ultimately became a web designer, who at the time had an opportunity for access to the internet in the early days, who basically came to me and said, there's no future in this, which was just mind-blowing to me, because the first time I had access to the internet, to me it was like the world had opened up, and I saw all kinds of opportunities in it. So it was sort of your mind frame as you approached that as well. So later, that same person who saw no future in it became a web designer. So where was she when she initially approached it? So was she open to it in the beginning? No. So it became an issue of the old Eastern cone or the Eastern idea of when you are ready, the teacher will appear. When you are prepared, the teacher will appear. You have to be ready for something, for that. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to be prepared for the tools to mean something to you.
Mhm.
Right. Do you think that there was a lot of would you draw parallels between introducing computers and introducing AI these days? Was there fear around computers and that teachers would become irrelevant, or was it just this is annoying that we have to do this?
I think it was the second one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was always a sense that we've already got too many burdens in the classroom. This is just one more thing at that point. So, in the 90s, the funding started to appear, like I said, but it was mostly directed towards state testing stuff at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about accountability, and the teachers were feeling like they were burdened by accountability. Why do I have to deal with computers as well in that situation? Then came the great platform divide, which probably you know somewhat about. Were you a Microsoft district or a Macintosh district at that point? If you were a Macintosh district, if you were a Microsoft district, there was a question about whether you had access to Mac tools, which were ultimately really important for multimedia stuff. That was the best multimedia stuff for people who were in arts related fields. But many times Microsoft stuff was the least expensive stuff for school districts. And many of the technology people who were available in school districts were coming from the business world.
Right.
And so their background was Microsoft.
Yeah, all of our computer labs had all Microsoft, and they would have 1 or 2 Macs.
Well, you were lucky if you had 1 or 2 Macs.
I always stole one.
Yeah, because oftentimes the technology people didn't want them in the district because they didn't have the background to support them.
I took it for granted as a kid, and I haven't thought about it since. But man, does that just reinforce how much I came from a really privileged childhood. My schools growing up had so many Macs in them. We had carts of MacBooks. They rolled around to the classrooms. In my high school, we had multiple computer labs. One of them had 30 to 40 iMacs, and the other one had probably 30 to 40, and it was a mix of iMacs and G5 Power Mac type things, like towers they're really high end because it was like in the shop room where you like coding and modeling and stuff. We had classes about 3D modeling, and man, we must have had just, I can't even imagine, $500,000 worth of computers across all the different schools. And like in my middle school, we had iMacs. In my high school, anyway. That's not really apropos of anything, but I did. I mean, I grew up in Dublin, which is a suburb of Columbus, where we had a golf course where there's a PGA tournament stop every year, and like that's a really I lived in a very nice house. My parents still live in that house, and we lived in like the poor part of Dublin, which is hilarious. But like there were like 5,000 square foot mansions all along the golf course and stuff, and then our neighborhood was where like we lived on the outskirts where the outsiders lived. It was
in a regular neighborhood,
in a regular 3,000 square foot house, a beautiful house with a yard. And anyway, it's just I've talked about that before, and it's not really apropos of anything. It's just crazy to me. I never appreciated how ridiculous it was, the investment that my school district had in Macs. Well, it was all Macs, and it was all high end stuff.
You were the exception to the rule. Yeah. And think about the fact that in the 1990s in most school districts, generally classes rotated through computer labs.
Yeah, we only went like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Until they started with the laptop carts.
I did never get that. I was too old.
Oh, I got that in middle school. They had Windows XP laptops that were always absolutely busted to hell.
Yeah.
Because apparently children don't know how to use a computer and not snap off half the keys.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of my district having an embarrassment of tech riches, we actually had, my high school had a practice room with a computer in it with this software where you would go and play etudes, and it had a microphone, and it would give you like an accuracy rating, right? It would like listen to the pitch, and you'd play along, and it would be like, oh, you were flat on that note. Oh, yeah, that rhythm was wrong. It was just, I forget what it was called, but did you ever see any stuff like that? I mean, I don't think it made me a better musician, but did you ever, Dave?
No, I don't think that would.
Did you ever use anything like that or see that? I always thought it was silly when I was a kid, but it seems ridiculous now.
I had to sell my soul to get that kind of software later in my career. But yes, that software did exist, but it was really hard to get, for me to get that software in my district. And there wasn't a lot of support for that within my district. Tech support for that within my district as well. And now there's several packages that do that kind of thing. There's even cell phone versions of that that exist now. So through the 90s, the focus still remained on skills tracking rather than creative use of computers. And in the late 1990s and the early 2000s, learning management systems like Blackboard and Canvas emerged at that point. You're familiar with those from college.
Blackboard,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hooray.
I've dealt with all of them.
Oh, yeah.
At one point or another.
Oh, yeah. And from the instructional point of view, those are sometimes instructors feel about those the way artists feel about AI as well, because when you're teaching at the collegiate level and you have to put all your stuff into Canvas, when you leave, all of your instructional materials become the property of the college.
Ew.
Yeah, that's
I didn't know
gross.
that.
Yeah. So when you leave, the next person that teaches your course becomes, is able to take over all of your notes, all of your
Assignments.
assignments, all of your materials as well. All of
Yep,
that
it
kind of
happened to
stuff.
me.
Yeah.
So they only need you to teach once.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
well-
developed that course from scratch about teaching literacy within fine arts classes.
Uh-huh.
And when I left, all of those materials became somebody else's stuff, even though I developed it from scratch.
And that's I mean, it's not a perfect comparison, but that's exactly the kind of thing, the problem that we're seeing with AI stuff now. I'm sure that unscrupulous administrators would see that and be like, "Oh, we don't even need a real teacher. Now we've got the class material, we've got all these assignments, whatever. We got all this stuff in Canvas. Let's just hire some idiot to come in here and walk the kids through the website, and then that's the exact same as
I mean, you might even
someone
have
teaching them the
recordings
class."
of your lectures.
Yeah.
And
those
they
systems.
enforce you making sure you have your stuff in Canvas
Right.
as well, including your assessments and that sort of thing. So
Well, I mean, that's also how it goes with academic research as well. Like, right, Mandy, I'm sure you've written stuff that is no longer stuff you're allowed to touch because the source code belongs to whoever you were doing the project for.
Oh, I lost everything when I left my last job. The only
Yeah.
things that I was allowed to take with me were outward presentations that I already had like through the release system for those specific purposes. Like I
Yeah.
didn't get to take anything with me. And so yeah, over this last year I have spent some time building up the like code infrastructure of some things that I've done before, but they're not even novel things. It's just like utility functions that I need for stupid things, you know.
Yeah,
You just
that's
don't
why
have it anymore.
the sneaky workaround that I learned to do to get around that is put it all on a repo that has a GNU license before you leave.
What's GNU?
It's a obligate free license. So if you use the source code, it is completely open source, but anything that is produced from it is also obligate open source. You could also use an MIT license or whatever other open source code license you want. But basically that means you publicly post your source code so that
he wouldn't have been able to do that.
I would not have been able to,
with
but
government work.
yeah.
depends on the project, I would think. But
I mean,
She
this
would have
isn't
had
really-
to get special.
No, I wouldn't have been able to do it at
permission.
all.
Yeah.
But
at all.
no, not absolutely not. But this does bring up an interesting point because there was at one point that I had a student who I wanted to do like a presentation, like we were doing like educational things for like the interns or whatever, and so they were like easily openable. And so me being a huge proponent of open science, I was like, let's do it open. Like if you're going to do this work to build this course for them, let's do it openly so anyone could learn, and like let's make a recording of it, post it on the YouTube or whatever so that everyone can continue to learn from it forever. Like let's make it awesome. And I had never thought that that would be a negative thing, but it's sort of relating into what you're talking about, where they were like afraid because they're like, well, I lose my value once that already exists because then no one will ever need me to do it again. And that was just a perspective I wasn't expecting, and I still believe that they were wrong. That I think it's good to have things be open, and that like interacting with the person themselves is still valuable, even if you give exactly the same talk to new people that is already recorded. Obviously here at Real Good AI, everything is open and fair game because I think it is really important for everyone to share ideas and people will get a lot further. But there is this fear of what if they just take it and then they don't need me anymore, that the teachers are feeling, right?
Yep, absolutely. So The next big breakthrough in AI that hit the classroom was early 2000s. Whiteboards came, which replaced the old overhead projectors
Like
and
smart boards?
transparent. Yeah, to replace transparencies and overhead projectors. For my way of thinking, those were very transformative in my classroom, and I believe they are going to survive this tech cycle um, in a very demonstrative way. Um, I think they were the most powerful transformative piece in the tech cycle, from my opinion. Um, think about what they did to the classroom. They allowed video demonstrations in the classroom. That was something that was very difficult to pull off. Was full classroom video demonstrations where you brought in premier examples of something you wanted your students to be able to see. In the past, you had to set up, if you could get your hands on on, like I taught in a music classroom, if you could get your hands on an outstanding performance of a piece, not just an auditory example, but a visual auditory example. That, first of all, that was really hard to do. You had to go to the library and search through their archives to get that done. You couldn't just click in on the internet to make that happen in 5 minutes and find
No YouTube.
a premier exemplar of what you wanted to bring up to show to your class, and then show it to your class. So that, I think that was transformative as far as the classroom. Zoom collaborations, that didn't exist before. Collaborations between classrooms or collaborations between international classrooms, that didn't happen before. Those kinds of things. And I got to tell you, once again, the impact of classes that were being evaluated by state proficiency tests determined whether or not you were able to get your hands on smartboards again as well. For me, this is just a personal story. I sort of had to sell my soul to be able to get one of those smartboards in my classroom. The way I was able to get the smartboard in my classroom was I had a superintendent in my school district who had set a goal of intercultural collaboration between our school district and China. And so when the Beijing Olympics happened, we were able to take our choirs to Beijing prior to the Olympics. And in order to make that happen, I had to give up my whole summer to do fundraising to take my choir to China. And in return, she just kind of made it easier for me to get a smartboard in my classroom as a result of the fact that I had given up my whole summer to do the fundraising. So it was one of those one of those opportunities as a result of exchange of efforts in the politics of school districts that made that happen. So I was able to benefit my classroom by giving up my own time to make that happen. So that's how I got a whiteboard for my classroom, and it worked out very well. So I used it doing the kinds of things that Bob was talking about, where I brought technology. I didn't just bring exemplars of outstanding performances into my classroom. I also brought in technology into my classroom as well. So I would use tuning text projected onto the smartboard, so that when students thought they were in tune, I could have individuals or sections sing a pitch and then show them visually, give them visual feedback on the smartboard as to how well they were actually singing in tune and that kind of thing in the classroom using the smartboard. So it was truly transformative in terms of the use I had in the classroom.
Yeah, well, I think it's really interesting what you've been talking about to this point. Like every piece of technology has been useful for like maybe making administrative tasks easier, but this is the first piece of technology you've mentioned that you have brought into the classroom in a meaningful way. It's not just to make your life easier, it's actually to improve the teaching.
Well, and that was the 2000s, right?
Right.
And think about the fact that it was in the 2000s that things began to change in terms of Microsoft being able to begin to mirror what Macintosh was able to do in terms of multimedia as well. So that's when things really began to explode in terms of multimedia projects happening in the classroom as well, and teachers using computers more for group projects as well, as opposed to just using them for electronic pencils and tracking accuracy and those kinds of things. So it shifted, the use of computers was shifting in classrooms as well during that decade. So as the technology changed, I think the use of computers was changing as well. So there was a lot of things that were beginning to happen. There was there was a push for more one-on-one digital use in the classroom. So Chromebooks started to become available around then, I believe. So school districts were starting to try to have each child with some kind of computer access. And then digital textbooks began to become a thing as well. So the whole tech field, as far as academic technology, began to blossom since the turn of the century.
Well, and so I have a question that sort of relates to that. It seems like most of your career has been spent trying to trying to advocate for technology use in the classroom, but now it seems to be that that's the default. Is there a model in your mind as to what could potentially happen in technology overuse in the classroom? Right? Like, what does technology overuse look like in a classroom, and can it really be overused?
Well, absolutely. I'm a believer that what motivates students far and above everything else is teacher-student relationships. And when you begin to lose those relationships, you begin to lose the primary motivator in the classroom. So the idea that somehow we're going to, in the future, have classrooms without teachers, I think is incredibly naive, and I think that's an overuse of technology, because first and foremost, whenever I would have conversations with students, reflective conversations with groups of students at the end of the year, they always would say, do you remember that day that I came into the classroom and you gave me the high five, or you said this to me, or you did that? You know, that was a pivotal day in my life. You know, computers don't do that. Those and I don't give a damn what the AI models are, and that the AI models don't feed the soul in fundamental ways the way humans do. And yes, I've seen the facsimiles of humans, but to me they're not the same. And that's just me.
I don't
That's
think that's
just-
just you.
Yeah, I think you'll find a lot of people agree with that. I don't think that's just a you thing, but
So
Which I
I
don't
mean,
know.
this
Did you
is
see
jumping
that,
a little. Go ahead,
I
Eric.
was going to sort of spin off of that. Did you see that article that I posted in AI News in the Discord, Mandy? That it was a article that Anthropic had done where they surveyed 80,000 of its users to sort of say like, hey, what is AI doing well? What did you hope it would do? Has it delivered on those? And there was a surprising amount of the users that responded that AI had successfully. Let me pull it up so I get the actual terminology they used. That it had delivered on emotional support. That 6.1% of the people who were in this interview had a quote relating to the statement that AI had supported them in their time of need. And that to me is incredibly scary, that people are
Well-
feeling like they can get the emotional support they need from AI sources.
Eric, if I could just kind of put a period on the conversation and wrap up what I was talking about with what you were asking. Around 2010, educators began rethinking instructional models in a big way, looking at things like block scheduling, blended learning, flipped classrooms, fully online courses, all of those kinds of things. And in fact, statistics have shown that students are achieving at lower levels since all of that stuff has gone online now.
Mhm.
And many school districts now are beginning to return to are beginning to rethink. And there are some districts that are going back to pencil and paper assignments. And while I'm not necessarily advocating going back to completely pencil and paper, I think that's a mistake to go back completely to pencil and paper. I think that's an overcorrection to me. I think there's real value in the kind of struggle that comes sometimes with working things out by hand. I think there is there is research that shows that the kinesthetic connections that are made, particularly in areas like literacy growth, the fact that you have to go through the visual connections between the muscles in the mind help students to initially make those connections. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that it happens with math as well. So I think the struggle is part of the growth as well. Some districts have eliminated homework entirely because they can't document the authenticity of the work that's being done. Again, I think that's an overreaction. But certainly there's some rethinking that needs to be done along those lines, because obviously some districts get carried away with homework. So there's a balance to be found in there, but the struggle is part of what helps to make the growth happen. They just need to sort of rethink how much of the struggle, they need to research how much of the struggle is what makes the growth happen. And I think the kinesthetic connections are part of what makes it to happen. And, you know, I think relying completely upon computer models or computer tools is not the answer, but we can't do it. We should not do it without computer tools, because computer tools is part of the literacy of the future as well. So it's got to be a balance.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of the point that I was going to make as well, is that from a more pragmatic standpoint, a less philosophical one, that if you're not teaching the kids how to use the tools they're going to use when they need to actually apply these concepts you're teaching them, then it's depriving them of knowing how to do it, right?
Yeah. So it's got to be a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you do need to provide an education that allows them to understand the fundamentals well enough to know what is being done under the hood with some of these tools. But also you need to teach them how to use the tools themselves, because that's what the actual scenario is going to look like.
Absolutely. Agreed. So I guess the next question is worth discussing is, do I use AI?
Well, we can probably. I was sort of going to pay lip service and say I think that's probably a good place where the real rating can come into classrooms to sort of draw a line in the sand for specific assignments where that balance should lie, right?
I
Of
love that. Yeah,
how much
I love that.
you're allowed to, how much AI should enter into the work that you're doing as part of your coursework, right?
Yeah, and academicians are used to ratings of classroom work in terms of hard skills and soft skills
Mhm.
in the classroom. So using ratings for things like AI should not be a big jump for them intellectually, I would think.
Well, and actually, Ohio is the first of the states really to put out something about AI. And pretty much their advice was like, it can be used for brainstorming and structuring and things, but it shouldn't be the final output, which is just exactly a 2 on our scale. And so it
Mhm.
just fits in very perfectly with the scale that we've been developing.
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Well, I have big concerns about AI, particularly being an artist, being a musician. That it bothers me that people are producing consumables that are sometimes referred to as music. That don't feel artistic to me. Along the lines of elevator music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That take no effort. It doesn't feel artistic.
Right, and so I brought this up to you, but I want to bring this point up to chat. I heard someone describing it to people, and the description that they gave that I really liked was that it sort of breaks this covenant, because as someone creating art, creating music, which is a form of art, the covenant is kind of, it takes a lot of time and effort and human stuff in the creation of it, but using AI to create these things, it sort of breaks that inherent structure that you're expecting, where it actually takes someone more human effort to consume that thing that you sloppily made, rather than you actually putting effort into the generation of it. So it flips this on its head. Like, for example, if I wrote an essay and it was whatever, but if I wrote it with ChatGPT, like just prompted ChatGPT to write it, I spent almost no time on that. That is no knowledge of mine. I didn't put any effort in. And I might read it over and be like, that's fine. But it's still not the same as the struggle and the effort that artists put in to the art that they are asking you to consume. And so it just breaks that inherent covenant. And I thought that was a really good description.
Yeah.
I mean, but you didn't fully agree with that when I talked about this before.
Well, to me, it's not about time.
Mm-hmm.
Time is not the is not the really pivotal issue in creating art. It's more about the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, art is about the internal, what happens on the inside when you create it. It's an aesthetic struggle within yourself that creates a solution to an aesthetic question, in a sense.
Did you just realize he was right?
No, there's an Enderman with me. I'm with you. No, what the comment that I have to what he's saying is it reminds me of your favorite quote, Dad, from I don't know if it's still your favorite quote. You have a few that you like to repeat, but
Yeah.
oh Jesus. Some bad shit is happening
That's
to me.
not my quote.
That is not your quote. That is not your quote. I'm in the bad place. The closest that which comes to expressing, oh God, the warden.
Oh
okay.
God, my God, Mandy. You found the most badass mob in all of Minecraft and picked a fight with him.
Okay, so that was the problem. The closest silence is the closest to I'm fucking it up. You know the quote I'm talking about music and expressing the unexpressible.
Yeah, I
I don't have
what
it
you're saying
memorized.
rings a bell, but
Okay.
I can't. I think it was Leonard Bernstein that said
Don't we
it
have it on
originally.
the wall at home? It's a
Yeah.
Mahler quote. That's something like
No,
I
it's
don't remember it.
Leonard
at this point.
Bernstein.
Okay.
Music is it's next to where your mother is sitting, I think.
Hey, Mom. What does the thing say?
After silence, that which comes nearest to expressing the inexpressible is music. It's Huxley.
Oh.
Aldous Huxley?
Bernstein. Yes.
The guy who wrote Brave New World? He's not a musician, is he?
I mean, art is
No.
art.
But he's
He's a
wordsmith.
word person. Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
what
he
I
is a
mean.
word person.
So don't go in that hole that I made.
Fun.
It goes to a bad place.
I lost track of where home is and the sun is going down.
If you die, you'll just respawn at
yeah,
home.
if you die, you
Yeah.
respawn back at home.
Yeah.
It's very useful.
And you don't even lose all your stuff,
You don't.
if I remember.
Yeah, that discovered that already. That's awesome. Oh, there's home.
Okay, so back to the technology in the classroom. The question I wanted to ask you is there was a point at which I don't know if this is standard for most high schools, but like your school district was like letting people use cell phones and stuff in their classes, right?
They were encouraging cell phones.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. Like when we were growing up, like the point was like if any teacher saw a cell phone, you lost it. Like no privileges ever. You had to keep it in a locker in a whatever. So they didn't, but they were encouraging them to use that. Is that normal still? Did they keep that policy? Do you know?
I think Ohio just put in place a law about cell phone use in the classroom, and
Oh,
and
law?
they're yes,
Ooh.
they're clamping down on cell phone use in the classroom, and so they're going to have to put in place a policy, a school policy, because the politicians have just decided that it is interfering, which it is.
Yeah.
What we ended up doing was deciding that teachers were supposed to have a red light, green light system in front of the classroom for use of cell phones in the classroom, but that clearly didn't work, where students were supposed to know whether to use, they were allowed to use them during that classroom period by whether the red light was up or the green light was up. And they just ignored it.
Right.
Mandy.
But the problem was in our district, we were somewhat technology was not readily available to every
Okay.
child,
Right.
but cell phones was one way that they were able to make connections with technology.
Mm-hmm.
So there were times when the teachers would challenge the students with a question, and they could just say, take out your cell phones and look it up. And that for us was an answer to the problem of
Mm-hmm.
not having technology resources available.
I know, but imagine that with AI now. What a nightmare.
Yeah. True. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the ways that I use technology, and maybe throw them out there in terms of some of the people listening, and see what their thoughts were, what their concerns were, etc.
Chat, we are not endorsing what he uses. He uses it more
Absolutely.
aggressively than I would.
This is me,
Uh-huh.
and what I do. Understand that I've always been an early user of technology, and it's just me, but it's one of the things that has allowed me to do transformative things in my classroom. In spite of the challenges of my learning environment. So I'm just going to throw them out and open open it up for discussion or questions. I found AI to be especially useful for editing, because when I write, you can tell that from the way that I speak that I'm a wordsmith. I'm always searching for the right word when I speak, and it sometimes is annoying because I speak slowly, and I'm always looking for exactly the right word when I speak. So when I write, I oftentimes write at the collegiate level. Well, the reality is people don't read most people don't read at the collegiate level. And the New York Times, which is one of the most complex mainstream publications, typically writes at the 10th to 12th grade reading level.
Hmm.
And most newspapers actually write at the 8th grade reading level.
Hmm.
So I need help editing when I write to modify my writing so that it's readable for the average person. And I've found that AI has been helpful to me in terms of editing for the average person because I write at a level that doesn't work very well for the average reader. And so I oftentimes will use AI to help with editing to make it more readable. So that's one of the ways that I use AI to
Yeah, but
to
it kind of just
translate things into.
shortcuts that for you. I would also say because obviously as a teacher, you have a lot of experience putting things in plain language for people to understand. It just takes you more time. And so this is just in applications where it doesn't matter as much, right?
Right,
Okay.
true. Oh, well, that's true. It's in the classroom. That's the way I've done it. But also understand that in the classroom, I have lots of forms of feedback to tell whether what I'm saying is landing or not. So
Yes.
I can look at the faces of my kids and I can back up and I can try another way of stating it to see whether what I'm saying is working for them or not. Where if I'm communicating with a reader who I can't see, it's really hard for me to know whether the way I'm stating it is going to work or not. Just like now when I'm speaking to people who I can't see,
Mhm.
and right now I can't even see their visual feedback. It's hard for me to know whether it's landing or not.
That is definitely the biggest drawback I found, like in giving online talks. Definitely, I miss the vibe check.
Yeah.
I'm sure I get this from you, but I feed off of it when people are excited about the thing that I'm saying, and there's
Yep.
excitement. Everybody gets excited, you
Yep.
know. It makes
I
it better. And I always used to do this with music performance too. Like if people were digging it, I made it even better. Like it was
right.
just that sort of thing. But you really can't tell these days. You'll just get nothing. Like I did one last year where it was like a group of people and I was like, was that good? Did you like it? They had like nothing to say. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good story.
Yep. Yep. When I talk and the heads start going north and south, then I know I'm doing okay. Yep.
Chat, just a quick reminder, Bob is the board president of Real Good AI, which he started with Markiplier and myself, which I'm Bob's wife. So that's why we're talking about all this stuff. Just a quick reminder, because everyone's very confused in chat.
I don't know how you could possibly be confused, chat.
They
this
just
all
read
the
our
time.
name and they think we're AI and they don't know anything about this, but they should learn and find out because we're doing cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm on the board.
Yes.
And you can check the website for my background. One of the things that it doesn't say on there is that one of the things that I did when I retired was I actually worked for worked as a teacher coach, which included coaching teachers in the use of gaming strategies for the classroom using a package that was developed by Carnegie Mellon as well, which is who are really one of the leaders in gaming strategies for the classroom as well.
Mm-hmm.
So another area that I use, that I sometimes use AI, which is controversial, and I'd like Eric to speak to it, because this is an area that Eric has some knowledge in, is I struggle with translating medical information into plain language. So sometimes it's helpful for me when I've had a medical test to translate that into language that I can understand. So occasionally I will use AI to dumb down medical vocabulary into something that I can potentially understand. So what's your thoughts about that, Eric?
Well, so there are two particular angles that may end up being a little problematic about that. One is the data privacy angle, which is that if you are putting in information that can tie it back to you, that makes it identifiable with you, then clearly you are releasing your personal medical information to become public knowledge to the company that is running the AI. That can be attenuated by either not logging in or using a VPN. Well, and using a VPN. They could still track your IP even if you don't log in, but so that it's just text going in there, but that's just sort of a different one ethical quandary for another of, do you want them seeing your medical information at all, even if it's not tied back to you? Is that still okay with you? So that's one angle that using it for that purpose can be a bit of an issue. The other angle is obviously the stakes issue, right? The question of how important is it that the AI is getting this 100% right? Right? That if you are putting in medical information and it's like saying whether you have cancer or not, then clearly you want to make sure that you're using a tool that is going to, or getting a perspective that is going to inform you correctly, and AI may not be that tool. If it's something like, why is this blood work thing considered abnormal or something like that, even, or like I can't really even think of like a medical thing that would universally be low stakes, right? It's just because it's kind of like the WebMD effect, right? That usually when you put symptoms or medical worries into technology, it's going to give you the worst case scenario in order to cover its own liability, right? That it has to say that everything is possible because technically it is possible. It's just not likely. And so the at the end of the day, you have to evaluate how you have to meter your reaction to being told bad news from AI on the off chance that it is completely incorrect and either hallucinating or misevaluating the importance of the information you're putting into it.
The other thing that I am worried about with that is how ChatGPT is so willing to agree with you on everything.
Sure.
So if your response and it's leading and it becomes a conversation, that it could just be swayed to say whatever you thought anyway. So it
Yeah,
again
if you
isn't
ask it
accurate.
leading questions, that's
Yes.
a problem as well.
100%.
That if you ask it like, is this a symptom of cancer or something, it will probably say yes. Because WebMD was the original you
Yeah.
have cancer engine, right? So
Right.
So if one of the ways to maybe take care of the privacy thing as we talked about is I do it anonymously and I use Proton VPN, so probably I'm okay on that front.
probably as
But-
long as you're okay with being known as an entity with X conditions, right? Rather than as long as you're fine with that information being out there somewhere, right?
Okay. Okay. I just have, again, skepticism is always a good thing.
Yeah, it's
in
the sort of thing where
dealing
when you
with
do
AI.
Clinical trials, you have to consent to things like that, right? That
Yeah.
even if you're anonymized, you still have to consent to your information being part of an anonymized data set.
Right.
And
Well,
so it's a similar thing that you should be aware of that and consent to that if that's what you're going to be doing.
the other thing that we talked about that I'm sure Eric would have lots of knowledge about is when you reach my age, you begin to have lots and lots of prescription drugs that you have been prescribed, and when they do the research tests, they basically test, Eric has informed me, they test interactions between individual drugs, but they don't test interactions between multiple drugs. So sometimes I've found it valuable to look at interactions between groups of drugs when I've like have 10 prescription drugs that I've been prescribed, to look at what are the possible interactions between groups of drugs that have not been tested against each other. And I'm sure Eric has some thoughts about that. So what do you
I just don't
think
think it knows that.
about that?
Exactly. That's effectively what I was going to say, is that it may be good at looking at each of the pairwise interactions and then trying to aggregate that information, but you may have some effects where you say like two drugs each target the same receptor and their additive effect then causes a problem with a different drug, right? That because these two drugs are shutting down this one receptor, then if you put in this other drug that targets this different receptor, that's now how you're introducing a side effect. And those kinds of effects are just not well studied at all.
Right.
Because that's more the realm of systems biology, where you have to start thinking of cells as a network, and that gets really, really complicated really, really fast. And I don't trust the AI at all to synthesize those sorts of complex relationships out of thin air. I think instead what you're probably going to get is it sort of regurgitating back the pairwise interactions that are known and potentially summarizing them into one wrapper, not do the group interactions like you're hoping for. Right.
Couldn't it also be picking up crazy people on the internet, like on Reddit or wherever?
It could, but it's because of how training works. As long as there's enough information to balance out misinformation, it's usually fine. But again, it's the LLM picks up on what is popular, not what is right. Right? So if there is a common misconception about the interaction of some drugs or something like that, that will come out in the LLM.
Mm-hmm.
So, to share mistakes that I've made on AI,
Mm-hmm.
the recently I made a mistake in looking for a appliance repairman online, and I asked for the best appliance repairman in the area, and it gave me a phone number that ultimately it forwarded to a phone number in Dublin, Ohio, which then forwarded it to a local phone number who was apparently a contractor in the area who came to the house, did a visit at the house that turned out to be a bogus visit, and the guy told us what he thought was wrong with the appliance and didn't return at the time he promised to return. It charged us for a visit to the house that we had to pay for on the spot, and never came back. And when I called the parent company, they didn't stand behind him and said it was an independent contractor, so they weren't going to stand behind him. So that was totally a bogus thing as well. That was a appliance repair that I was referred to by an AI search. That was supposedly the best appliance repairman in the area. So I got taken in that situation. So again, skepticism is the best plan. So I've made mistakes along those lines as well.
Not to give AI any credit, because it doesn't really deserve any in that story, but I feel like you could get that exact same result with Google. The nature of search engines and the current state of trying to find things like services or people online like that.
True.
It's not that different. Yeah. But yeah, I think there is I actually don't know, but I get the sense that there's this idea from, and not so much from you because we've talked about this a bunch, but from people who engage with AI out in the wild, that like, oh, I use an LLM to search for stuff because it's smarter, like it's going to do something that like just a Google search won't do or something, and can't stress enough not how it works. But I don't know if the audience who is here, who has stuck around for a stream on this channel, needs to be told that either. I just think it's one of those things. People ascribe a lot of stuff to LLMs because they talk, vaguely like they're a person. They treat them like they're a therapist or a friend or whatever, but it doesn't actually function that way. It's really easy to want that to be the case, but
the times when I will use an LLM instead of a Google search is when the answer to the question that I have requires context. And so you need to sort of give it a few sentences of startup before asking the question in order to actually get the answer you're looking for. Either that, or if the information is really niche and Google's not going to understand what the hell you're talking about.
I always say about niche information, though, like the joke I make is that AI is really good at niche stuff, except for the niche stuff that you really know about, because it doesn't know about that. But that's the joke, because it's that way about everyone, because it sounds plausible about niche things because there's so little to go on it that it just sounds reasonable to those of us who don't know that niche. But when you're talking to it about your niche, like my niche, Gaussian process models, et cetera, it doesn't seem to know or understand concepts. Like, it was trying to convince me that Lasso and Elastic Net should be totally different things. And I was like, bro, those are pretty much just the same thing.
They're separated by an exponent.
Yeah, with very slightly different penalizations. Like, they do pretty much the same thing, and then it like grovels and is like, oh yeah, you're right. But like that's the worry I have about the niche stuff when people try and use it for Googling niche stuff. If you Google, like if you ChatGPT or whatever LLM do your niche stuff, you can tell it don't know. So why would you trust it for other niche stuff that you don't know? Because then you just fall in that trap. That's my naysayer warning.
Okay. So any questions?
Chat is kind of having their own conversation today. I don't understand what's happening, but chat is. We have a couple people in chat who have stolen the will of the chat a little bit, but that's fine. That's not against the rules. They're just confusing.
Enjoying listening to the conversation and then having a side convo.
Because every time I look over at chat, I'm like, what the hell is going on over here? What are you doing? It's like with James. Every time I stop paying attention for 5 seconds and then look back at him, I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Climbing on the back of a couch, trying to jump off.
When did you get a hose?
How is the hose inside?
Yeah, that's approximately like having a toddler.
Oh, also, if you did ask questions, it was completely buried by the whatever else is happening. So if you have a question and you want to re-ask it, I'll look real close.
Real good, you might say.
I'm not going to promise it's going to be good, but I'll try.
You know what? That's all we ask, Bob, is that you try.
So I want on the pizza. I don't want pizza. I'm good. I don't need any pizza. I've had enough junk food.
I'm glad you guys are feeling better. Sounds like you both sound like you're doing better.
We are. Chad, it was a hell of a week because James got sick, and then we got sick, and then our nanny Rin got sick, and everybody was sick, and it was 2 illnesses. It wasn't just one illness, and so it was like a whole heck of a thing, you know?
And we're celebrating Eric. You did the walkthrough on his house today.
Oh, so it's yours?
New house? No, he's closes tomorrow.
Yeah.
the walkthrough when they're still living there is always sketchy because you're like, well, get your stuff out of my house.
Well, they apparently still have some things to fix, but that is a side
Here nor there.
conversation.
Yeah.
All right, Eric Drake reposted one of their questions. There's a lot of fuss about calculators in classrooms for learning and tests with a worry about missing basic skills and becoming technologically dependent. Without getting into that specific debate, is there a similar argument happening over AI in classrooms? Is there a similar sort of risk of skills there?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so this is exactly the point that I was trying to make earlier with talking about how the real rating can be deployed in classrooms, that there are some things in math courses that you are allowed to use a calculator for and you are not allowed to use a calculator for. And the point to that for that is, are you circumventing the skill they're trying to assess by using the calculator? The answer is yes. Don't let them use the calculator, right? And so you can use a similar philosophy and apply it to AI as well, right? That if you're trying to assess critical thinking skills or essay writing or persuasional skills or whatever you're trying to do, and your assessment of that skill is being undermined by the involvement of AI in the process, just tell them they can't use AI for it. Set a real rating limit that they are allowed to use AI for on the topic. If they're allowed to use it for spell check, but not allowed to use it to brainstorm ideas, set them to a real rating limit of 1. If they're allowed to use it to help rephrase a few sentences, but you don't want essays that are fully AI written, set it to a real rating limit of 3, so on and so forth. So we think that the real rating will be is a tool that's not being used yet, but is a tool that could be used in educational settings to bring up some of those kinds of conversations and set clear boundaries and expectations as to how AI is to be used in the classroom in whatever context.
I think that's a good example too, because like for a while, like kids learning multiplication or whatever can always use the calculator if they want to do it for their homework, but the expectation is set beforehand. Don't use a calculator for this. Do it.
Yes.
Do it by hand. And so we need similar language in AI, which is what the real rating is meant to do. Chat and over here on TikTok side says, do you think it's more important to teach don't use AI and why, or is it more in teach to teach how to navigate it effectively and critically?
Personally, I would concur with the second one. It's always important to teach literacy.
Right. I agree. Abstinence only education doesn't work.
Sure, that's a way to put it, Mandy.
I mean, is it not the same sort of thing, right?
Sure.
Yep. Yeah. Teaching children how to navigate, I think, is critical. When you say avoid it, I mean, when you say don't touch that hot stove, I mean,
That just
does
makes them
that
want to touch
really
the hot stove.
stop them from touching the hot stove?
Mm-hmm.
We have empirical evidence that says no.
Yes, we do.
this is not really a question we have expertise on, but I'll give you an opinion, Maddie Mac. Maddie Mac asks, what are your thoughts on police forces using AI to find supposed criminals, especially pertaining to people who've been arrested for crimes they just actually couldn't have committed? Stupid. It's stupid.
Freaking terrible. There have
It's-
been
Yeah,
tons
that's-
of public papers that have shown that these AI systems are hugely racist.
Uh-huh.
I feel like the answer, I mean, and this is not to, I'm going to sift through all the questions, and this is not to downplay them, but the answer to a lot of questions that we get, even ones like that aren't related to what our organization is doing, what our expertise is in, the answer is it's a tool and it's not very well developed right now. It's not a finished product. So no one who does anything important should be relying on it. Police, military, government functions that impact people's lives, financial institutions. There are tons of places AI tools are being used in ways that are completely irresponsible because they don't work very well, or they purport to work well and they do really insane stuff or really racist stuff or whatever. The answer to a lot of questions you have is no, that's really stupid, but I will always answer them. Deanna's
Yeah,
corner.
that's one
Oh, go ahead.
thing that I am trying to hammer home in the language that I use is before you use AI, evaluate the stakes. Evaluate how important would it be if the AI got this wrong? How much of a problem would it be if the AI is getting this wrong?
It's called risk evaluation.
Yes, that too. If it is too great of a risk to have a tool be wrong, don't use it in that scenario.
Or if it affects people's freedoms, constitutional rights, life,
Yeah, exactly.
like safety, interactions between them and police and what. There's lots of places where that's an important question to ask, an assessment to make.
Or even if you are heartless and don't believe in those things, places where the cost of the financial cost of it being wrong and making mistakes is great, where it's wasting a lot of money because it can't get the answer right.
This
Of
is
course.
Don't
It
I
should be-
recall that in the beginning when AI was first being trained, it just was incredibly racist because of all the crap that it was gathering
still
off
is.
of
Social
internet.
media and
yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing that
Still
they've
is.
done to correct that.
other than
Purposefully.
like constitutional things, and it's
Yeah.
not
Like,
effective.
It was even pre LLMs. It was like when they were doing what ImageNet? Is that the data set, Eric? Is that what it was called?
I don't know the data set. off the top
It's a
of my
very
head.
famous one, and you just have to label like what each thing is, and it would be like pretty much the same picture, but it would be people of different races or different genders, and it might label one, the white guy, like professional, like distinguished person, and then something not complimentary in other races. Like it was well established that this was a thing, and they were kind of like, whoops, guess we should make a superpower thing then that does this. Close enough. I
Surely, if we
guess.
give it more nodes, it'll stop being racist.
Yes, exactly. Which is terrible. And honestly, I mean, my personal opinion, not the opinion of Real Good AI because they're not in this, but until you prove explicitly that your AI system is not biased in all these classes that are protected legally, I don't think there's any way you can implement it. Right?
Mhm.
And people just are willy-nilly, right? There's no legal standing for what that is, and I, again, not a lawyer, so this and legal stuff is not something Real Good AI has anything to do with. But I feel like none of these should be legal because they are literally against biased against protected classes in ways that directly violate, what is it, the Bill of Rights, or sorry,
Oh, just the Constitution.
just the Constitution in general. There we go. But again, not a lawyer.
Good that you
Because
bring up
unfortunately
laws
you
and
may
stuff.
Not
Deanna
be referring to the
Scorner.
Bill of Rights, but 14th Amendment.
Okay.
Took them a while
Deanna
to get that
Scorner
one in.
says, I want to reiterate that legislation and acts need to be updated because AI and technology is expanding at such an alarming rate and government works so slow to deal with it. This is, again, not Real Goods expertise, but I'll give you my opinion on it. You're kind of right. Like, that's a necessary... Oh, my God, there's a creeper. That's a necessary part of the system in which we live. We can't rely on that to act as a thing that's going to protect us as a citizenry from stupid and potentially illegal or unconstitutional implementations of AI, let alone implementations of it in places that are not illegal in any way, just might cause harm to people or cause you problems in life, or be a terrible application of it where it's not going to do anything positive. It's just going to be a problem. Yeah, the laws need to update. We're not like a legislative lobbying organization. We're not expending any resources towards that. There are other people who are working on that. And I hope that that happens expeditiously. But like, in terms of your interfacing with AI, don't rely on that. If you're relying on the laws or your constitutional rights or your rights, you know, as they're laid out in whatever laws pertain to your situation or whatever, it's not going to help you. It's not going to save you from anything. That is, those laws don't come into place until after you will have already been harmed, and as well as many, many other people who are in your same situation. So yeah, that's important. Not our focus, and just not, it's not helpful. Right? We're focused on what can we do that's helpful in like the medium and long term, which is our research, if it pans out and if it goes, you know, when it's done, when it's fully fleshed out research and it's useful for whatever, for the applications of the world, that will be helpful. And in the short term, the real rating system, I think we've talked about a lot,
Eric.
is something that we can do right now that can help in a lot of contexts. But it's not a law, it's a self-reported thing, right? It's the law is not going to help us. It's definitely not going to save us. That's not how the law works. Not in our country.
To be honest, there's a lot of fields that need some law updates too, like nonprofits also, just saying.
Yeah.
Besides, the legislature has found itself to be very slow to come to the table on technology issues.
I mean, I would say that the legal system is not even
broke
caught
my
up to
rail.
the state of the internet in
Right.
in a meaningful way in America and in the place we live in Ohio. So AI is not even on the radar yet because they don't even know what to do about social media and the internet and stuff that's been around for decades at this point. So
And right now they're putting unless I'm misunderstanding, it sounds like they're putting all of the bullets in the gun of business in regard to AI.
I mean, this is
AI has very little conscience.
This is venturing into political
business as-
commentary that I'm not super informed on, but
Sorry.
yes, the way the system works, it turns out whoever has money, because you need money to get elected in this country, even in state and local government races, it turns out if you have money to give to legislators, they will favor you. And as it turns out, the big corporations have the most money to generously donate to the campaigns of lawmakers in their jurisdictions. So this is not new. The system is always kind of tilted this way, but it's gotten worse the more that money has dominated politics. And there's a lot of money in AI. There's a lot of money invested in AI companies, and they are very invested in their industry not being hampered by laws or regulations that would cause them to have to slow down or dramatically change their approach to how they're trying to run their businesses and do what they're doing in the industry. So yeah, like it's I think most aspects of our legal system are kind of tilted in favor of entities that have money, and corporate entities have a lot of money. But it's very true as it pertains to AI too, and is not going to help us in terms of if you think that your lawmakers are going to stand up for individual rights or try and do anything to help protected classes against, potentially bigoted or otherwise. Oh, what's the word? You said it a bunch, Mandy, and I can't remember the word. Anyway, protect you. Biased, yeah. Protect people from bias in the way that people might expect that to function.
Who put a train track going up the rear wall of the house?
Eric.
I did not.
It's a
No,
ladder.
it's not
We mean a train track. It's a ladder.
Oh, it's
I
a
put
It
that
doesn't
there.
work because
You have to jump.
the
You have to
glass
jump.
interrupts it. I'm trying and it ain't.
Maybe I destroyed it when I put the glass in, but I seem to recall if you like get up to the top, maybe I'm no.
We're doing some strange things to that wall.
I seem to recall a way that worked. Anyway, it was so I could work on the roof previously. It's just a ladder.
But somebody broke my fixture over here that had the button on it that makes the train tracks go.
Was me.
Not I.
Might of Mice says, I love everything that you said, except you concluded that polygraphs not being used as evidence or as proof in legal settings is a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing consistently. Polygraphs are used as evidence in some contexts in some jurisdictions
They're
still, which is
technically not admissible, right?
sure. They're
Well,
not as
they're
admissible as
proven to be
factual
bunk, but they
factual
might be
evidence.
admissible.
But they are admissible in certain
Holy
settings.
crap.
I can't. Something like character evidence or anyway. I wish that they didn't exist, but it's funny. Funny in a bad way, but it makes me laugh.
Chat,
Did
are
you
you
make
right?
this furnace pile in the basement? Is that's what you've been doing this time?
I'm just trying to find projects to do, you know. Emilyn2 says, how would you teach kids to use AI responsibly? You know, interesting. We actually have a program about that. It's a thing. It's a thing. I don't know. Eric, do you want to field that, or Mandy, or we want to talk about that?
So we have a program that's sort of a little workshop where kids get to interact with AI, but they also learn about a few principles of how to interact with it in a safe and smart way. We call it the SMART acronym.
Be smart with AI.
Yeah, being smart with AI. So the acronym is, first you gotta share details, meaning that when you when you ask AI to do something for you, you want to give it examples and be specific in what you're asking it to do. M is math, not a friend, meaning do not emotionally relate to this thing, even though it may act like a human being. It's not a human being. It uses the language of a human being, but is not someone whose feelings you have to care about, or it's not a person. So don't become attached to it like it is a real person. You have A, which is ask first, saying, okay, first you want to ask whoever you're working on your project for, whoever this AI is being done for, whether it is appropriate to use AI in that scenario. And that may even include yourself, right? You need to ask yourself, is this a good use for AI? Could I potentially be sharing too much information with it? Am I potentially asking it to do something it's not going to be doing well, like it doesn't know how to do? Then you have R, which is recognize
Also,
lies.
ask your parent or guardian.
Yes, that's also another important part is ask your parents' permission before doing anything with it, especially if you're under 13, because that's a violation of the terms of service if you're using
But
it.
it just lets you click the button
unaccompanied.
once, and then it's always there on your browser, which
Yeah.
is bananas. But yeah.
Then you have R, which is recognize lies, that it's well known that these things hallucinate and misrepresent and don't tell the truth all the time. So you want to get good at picking out when the AI is not telling the truth, and again, evaluate the risk if it doesn't tell the truth. And then T, I'm blanking on.
Think before you share.
Think before you share. I even came up with that. Damn. But yes, T is T is think before you share. Think to yourself whether, again, it's a good thing, whether you might be oversharing your information, whether you're compromising your privacy when you interact with it. Those are sort of the principles we try to teach the kids as they interact with the program, and they get to try out some jelly bean flavors
But they
and
don't
have a good
interact
time.
with it. Actually, the person running it interacts with it for them,
Yes.
just to make sure
We're
they
not
can't.
giving 10-year-olds unmitigated access to a chatbot.
Right, but it
We
is
are
better
having-
that they learn and see it first in a safe setting like that. So
Yes. But we are working on adapting it to older audiences where they will have direct access to a chatbot. Maybe not necessarily ChatGPT, maybe more something that we can flavor to the task, but a chatbot.
right. Oh my gosh! I just realized we are so over.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, I guess Bob, you gotta ask our distinguished guest your last question. You always ask.
What?
You always ask at the end. You wrap up with the fun question of what's your favorite AI depiction in pop culture.
Okay, always is a little bit of an overstatement. Several
What?
times I have done that.
What?
Do it a lot.
I don't think I'm prepared for this one.
You like the Matrix. I'll answer for you.
Oh, okay. That's true. That is very true. I love the Matrix.
Which one's your favorite?
You mean the red pill, blue pill analogy?
Yeah, is that the
I-
first movie that they?
That's the first one.
Yeah.
Yep. I love that whole concept. Yep. That
Do I
would
really
be
do
it.
that much?
Yeah,
I
you've done it.
thought I only done that like a
last-
few times.
The last couple times when I've been on with you, you've done it. So I thought you were
I
always
think
doing it.
he's done
We'll
it
go-
because we have the scary tapes coming up, and so that was on his mind.
Right.
We'll go with that, Bob.
Yeah, chat. Are you writing your scary tapes submissions? It's time for that.
Not yet.
It is
it?
time. I
Are the
mean,
submissions open?
it's time to get it
The
going.
submissions are only going to be open for a short period, a window of like 2 weeks or something. It's like a week
Mhm.
to 2 weeks. But you should be writing now because writing all that in a week would be a lot.
Yeah,
But
7,000 words in a week is hard.
you know, I've done it before, but I would not recommend it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure last time I did that was for my dissertation, and the way I motivated myself to do it was to listen to Death Grips. So
So-
My favorite is to listen to Pirates of the Caribbean while I'm coding.
I mean,
Makes
same
it
vibe,
very
different
epic.
tastes.
Yes.
So your mom was interested in me bringing up the show Scarpetta that's on Amazon right now.
Oh.
Mhm.
There is a AI depiction in Scarpetta right now Scarpetta's niece, Lucy, is continuing to communicate with her former spouse who has passed away and is continuing to live as an AI depiction. So it's
Is it
very creepy.
Is it flavored as dystopian or is it flavored as
A little bit, yes.
good?
Well, it's
Okay.
flavored as unhealthy, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah. Very
But-
creepy relationship. But it's an AI thing. So
Interesting.
And
yeah.
the problem I had with it is if it's AI, it did not seem sycophantic enough to me.
Okay, you're gonna have to define that $10 word.
Her partner did not just sort of like, oh, yes, you're so right, honey. She questioned her. She called her on her bullshit a lot. And that's not what an AI would do.
Well, anyway, someone
mean, in
asked, and it
theory.
was answered in chat, but the Scary Tapes is a writing competition. You should look up the information. If the winners will be turned into podcast episodes and potentially read by myself or Mark or Wade or potentially other friends. That part's not very set in stone right now, but there's also a cash prize. It's fun. It's a short story writing competition. You should do it. Even if you don't think you're a good writer, you should try it. Probably better than you think. Do you want me to wrap it up, Mandy?
Yes, and buy merch. The merch
Yeah.
store is live.
Yeah, well, that's the wrap up, isn't it? Make sure you follow the socials, the TikTok, Instagram. Obviously, we're here on Twitch and we're on YouTube right now as well. Check out the merch store. Thank you, someone, for buying one item. Matt, your promo guy, bought 4 items. Checking out the competition, I see. Tasha bought 2 items. Can't wait to show these off another fundraising stream. Love the designs. Stephically got 1 item. Looks like a t-shirt. Thank you for all the hard work you're doing. Someone got a t-shirt. Someone bought something for $16. I'm going to guess that was...
Socks.
Oh, yeah, socks. That was, yeah.
All right.
AJ,
Woohoo.
AJ got
I
some
love
stuff.
those socks. They're so cool. I want some. We gotta put our order in tonight, Bob.
Divvy got 3 items. Thank you so much for the merch. Thank you everyone for checking out the merch store. It's going to be live. There's going to be special designs that come out, sort of like seasonal designs that come and go. So you want to check back and see, because once they're gone, they're gone. It's going to be a whole merch production, and hopefully we're going to have some cool stuff like potentially signed copies of things or possibly pieces of art, which we talked about previously. Mandy makes art, and maybe we'll sell some of those or auction them off. Who knows? You have to look. Obviously, we'll promote it on Talk About on streams and on socials, but check it out, and we appreciate you checking it out. And we talked about Scary Tapes. The newsletter. Check out the newsletter, realgoodai.org/newsletter. There's lots of stuff.
AJ does a great job with the newsletter.
Yep.
And there'll be one coming out this week, I think.
And
The
it's even
skeleton
on
is
the front
killing
page
me.
now.
Also, there are volunteer groups. There are ways to get involved. Just check out the website. It's all on the website, realgoodai.org. But that is going to be the end of the stream. I'm going to do the thing where I raid my stream into the Real Good stream, so we can all just hang out for a second. But this is pretty much it. If you don't follow Real Good on Twitch, probably should. I should do that.
Oh, and use your Prime sub on us, because if you are a subscriber, you get 10% off at the merch store. Is that
I
right?
believe that's true. If you are subscribed to us on Twitch, which includes Prime subs, and then you go to the merch store, it'll ask you if you're a sub. You can link your Twitch account, and I believe it's a 10% discount on your order, which is very cool. It's an automatic integration. Also, there have been notifications on the stream on screen. So if you buy something while we're live, it'll pop up. And I didn't want to interrupt the conversation today, but in non-interview streams, I will definitely make sure we call those out more timely as they're happening. But I'm going to raid. So my stream is over, but I'm going to raid over if you want to hang out for an extra minute and make sure you're following Real Good. We're going to raid right now to the Real Good channel. to the Real Good channel. Oh, that's my own voice playing on my own stream. On my own. There we go. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, Dave. This was really fun.
Yeah.
I think that was some
Good.
really interesting. You know, it's funny. We are like family and we hang out. I don't think we would ever have talked about some of that stuff if we were just hanging out like normal. So it was actually really nice to talk in a different.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of it
Context,
was
you
news
know.
to me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
What?
I had no idea that the China trip had the smartboard as a playing piece as part of it.
Oh, well, she just, it wasn't a deal up front. It was after the trip, she just decided she was gonna smooth the skids and make that happen.
I think your
So-
smart board was the first one that I ever saw, though. It was like super early still.
Yeah. I got one of the first ones in the district, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And after the China trip, I got the smart board. That's also when she nominated me for the Ohio Educator Award. You know, there
Yeah,
were
if I can,
a lot of good things that came from that.
if I can brag about Dad, he did such a good job at being an educator that they named the damn auditorium after him after he left. Think
true, it's
about how
true.
many things you have. You think about how many things are named. Now, how many of those were named that because they did such a good job?
Almost none. They're all money.
Almost
right?
none. They're
Yeah.
almost all, they donated $20 million or whatever to get their name on things. So he's had
Well-
kind of a once in a lifetime career.
I have a
literally once in a
follow-up to
lifetime,
that
but-
to brag on him. I didn't ask you for this, Dad, in advance, so if you don't have it off the top of your head, but you've taught amazing students as well. Your students have gone on to do amazing things. You taught Carmen Electra, right?
Yeah. For a year. For a year.
Yeah.
Yep. Until she was moved to another school district because of
Yeah.
residency requirements. Yeah.
You taught your students have gone on to win like Grammys and stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah. And Kennedy Kennedy Center honors. Yep.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
Gone on Broadway, right? And
Yes.
yeah.
Off Broadway. Sorry.
Okay.
Off
Okay.
Broadway.
But lots of major careers you have helped be a part of too, and so
Vegas, Las Vegas.
yeah.
Well, should we wrap it up?
Cool fun facts.
Yep. They're special to me, just like you guys are.
Well, thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate it, and I think even though chat was having their own conversation, they were listening and they had fun.
Yeah, they were
Yeah,
kinda
well, there were
fun.
definitely people who were in there listening, trying to participate. The weird side tangent was just dominant because they were chatty. It was like 3 people, but so it goes.
Well, they didn't go away though.
Nope.
I
No, they
guess.
were here the whole time.
As long as they didn't go away, that's good.
Well, bye everybody. Come back next week
Okay.
for our team stream. We'll be here. Buy the merch. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.